Okay, I think we have everybody present,
Yeah.
and the microphones are new, and it's kind of turned up loud. So if we start to get feedback,
Should
we'll
we
try and...
Should we do like a little test, like speaking or wise? Or?
Well, we tested them all before,
Okay.
and we've got a new videographer tonight, and
Okay.
so I do my not-so-short presentation. This is the proposed schedule, and this is going to apply to all of the items that we're discussing tonight, even the ones Chad's going to be talking about. This is where we came from, and actually this view slide was done back in September. So we're right on schedule to what we said we told the City Council we'd do in September. And that is, in September, we got the direction from them to come to the Planning Commission and start discussions on this. We discussed it in November and December. We're having our public hearing now. That's what's highlighted in red. And then where it goes from here is, at your next meeting on January 25th, we'd like to have you make a recommendation to the City Council that we can transmit to the City Council. And on February 6th, they are going to start consideration of that. So some of these things we could see happen as quickly as April, May of this year in terms of code changes and everything. So at this point, I will turn it over to Chad, who's been waiting patiently on the personal wireless service facilities aspects of it and the other minor code amendments.
Hello, my name is Chad Tibbetts. I'm the planner assigned to minor zoning code amendments specific to personal wireless service facilities, code language connected to corrections, typographic errors, outdated references, and codifying current practices relating to accessory dwelling units. In attachments 4 and 5, they deal with the personal wireless service facilities. In 2012, the federal government, through the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, passed what's called the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act. Through this regulation, what they did is they basically came up and they are requiring the state and local governments to approve any eligible facilities request for modification of existing towers and base stations that do not result in substantial change to the physical dimensions of such towers or bases. What the federal law and the rule changes made, it was to expedite the processing of applications for these new antenna facilities or changes to existing facilities. The rule change includes a shot clock rule, which limits the amount of time that a local government can take to either grant or deny an application. It's a 60-day shot clock. They've also, the state of Washington, through this process, has added a categorical SEPA exemption specific to this type of application. Let's see, what we've got next. So that's kind of just a really quick reason for why we're doing this update. In the meantime, our actual department has been treating all new applications as though this were in place. So we've actually been practicing this. We've been making sure any of the applications that come into the department have been reviewed under the 60-day shot clock. So at this point, we're now just codifying the policies that we've been following, making sure that we meet all of the requirements as the federal agencies dictated. On attachment 5, it gets into the actual amendments and what we're adding. We have a purpose section which establishes the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act, which is the direction that we're being given. We go down into a definition of the proposed facilities modification so that people understand it's only related to co-location of new transmission equipment on an existing facility or removal of the transmission equipment or replacement of anything on an existing structure. Applicability section there, basically stating the same thing and going down through and identifying the SEPA rule, making the state reference for a SEPA exemption and including that in our own SEPA review process as well and identifying that exemption. We identify the permit classification, just so that when it comes in, people understand at the front counter that this application is in under a 60-day review period. So from the permit reviewers to the planners to the building inspectors, everybody understands that we're under the gun. We have to do this within 60 days. The review of the application, there's a section there, and the time frame, which includes the 60-day shot clock. So those are just the minor things that we're adding to the code. Again, we've already been operating underneath this rules as policy, and now we're codifying it to make sure that we're in step with the regular or the federal government.
Thank you, Chad. So that concludes our presentation, and I think we go back to the script now, and we don't have anybody here, so I think we can, you can close the hearing.
Just go ahead and close it, okay. So there being no further testimony, the public hearing is now closed at 7:59.